Drinking this can of Coca-Cola is as good as eating nearly 35 grams or 9 teaspoons of sugar. What about your daily cup of morning coffee or tea? Or a slice of cake or that ice cream that you occasionally pamper yourself with? A lot of the stuff that goes into our mouths is filled with sugar. In fact, according to Credit Suisse, the world daily average consumption of added sugar per person is 17 teaspoons. That's way beyond the World Health Organization's recommendation of 6 teaspoons a day or around 25 grams for adults with a normal body mass index. Too much of that sweet stuff, however, could eventually leave you with a bitter aftertaste. Sugar has been linked to a higher incidence of chronic diseases such as type 2 diabetes and coronary heart diseases.
In regions like North America and Europe, the per capita consumption of sugar is already plateauing off and stagnating, and the total consumption is also more or less stagnating or growing very weakly. For countries like Singapore, the same effect will be seen. Gradually, in the long term, sugar consumption will decline, and that is a function of increasing health literacy, health consciousness, and also government campaigns to reduce national healthcare costs.
Credit Suisse Research Institute agrees and expects sugar consumption to grow below the growth rate of the global population over the next 5 to 10 years. Instead, it sees greater demand for high-intensity natural sweeteners in food and beverages. This, Credit Suisse says, is an emerging mega trend that will bring new investment opportunities. The sectors likely to be impacted include F&B companies, sugar producers, manufacturers of artificial and high-intensity natural sweeteners, and healthcare companies. However, other observers are of the view that sugar will remain a key agricultural commodity in the markets.
India, Indonesia, China together form bulk of the sugar consumption across the world. We don't think that is going to have a significant impact, definitely not on the Asian consumption of sugar, which we expect to rise gradually single digit over the next few years. Probably in the long term, yes, but again, you could equate this to cigarette smoking. People know there is some adverse effect, but that doesn't deter people from smoking it anyways.
We continue to see the use of high fructose corn syrup, grow particularly in the US across bottled beverages, and the use of, stevia and other natural sweeteners being, substituted to a certain degree into diets in other markets. We continue to see Asian consumption growing at around 2.9% per annum out to 2021, whereas increasing consumption growth from Africa is starting to pick up. We expect growth to persist at a rate of around 3.5% per annum out to 2021. So in terms of the new consumption growth regions, certainly significant growth across Africa particularly. However, in more stable and well-developed markets like Europe, for example, we see quite consistently flat sugar consumption.
Natural sweeteners are also not ready for mass market consumption. For one, the industry has to cross regulatory hurdles.
The problem with the sweeteners is there is a very big regulatory process involved for them getting approved from FDA. That's the first stage, which is very detrimental. The second stage is getting them to use by people again.
And the taste and price has to be right.
There is evidence to demonstrate that consumers are more comfortable with a sweetening agent that tastes closer to the traditional sugar that they have grown up on. So that is a challenge for the R&D departments of these countries to engineer tastes that are not too unfamiliar. The price cannot be too high, not just for consumers, but even more so for industrial and commercial buyers.
In the near term, sugar prices are expected to remain under pressure as the market enters its 4th year of surplus production.
The weight of both the surplus production, which we forecast at around 2.1 million tonnes for this 13-14 season, in addition to record global ending stocks of sugar, is really containing prices in quite a narrow trading range. And we expect prices to, trade anywhere between 15.5 US cents a pound to around 18.8 US cents a pound during 2014.
With sugar hovering around its lowest level since 2010, there is a floor to how much further prices can fall.
Sugar prices are trading pretty much close to 3-year average, 3-year bottom average. Part of that reason has been because of the huge surplus from Brazil as well as the Thailand, as well as India getting deregulating their sugar industry partially. But having said that, we believe it is near to the bottom rather than the peak. Sugar cost in Brazil is pretty much near to the cost of production, which is around 15 cents per pound.
Singapore-listed companies with sugar operations include Wilmar and Noble Group.
See, Wilmar and Noble to an extent play more on the upstream of the sugar side. That is, they play more on the sugar prices, being millers in capacity. So sugar prices going up would be positive for them over the next few years. But yes, in the near term, they are struggling. For example, Noble cost of production is higher than the current sugar prices. So they probably may be making losses on sugar.
Nomura expects sugar to contribute between 7% and 10% of earnings for the two companies when prices stabilize. London-listed Malaysian company Pure Circle produces the natural sweetener stevia.